Well, looky there. Happy holidays. It's back to another episode of Real Fine by Me. How you doing,
Merry
T-Cat?
Merry Christmas. I think this episode we're planning on putting it out on Christmas Eve for
Yeah, man, a
all
little
of y'all.
treat, a little present.
So we decided we were going to, for this week, since it was Christmas, put a list of Christmas movies together and find out what the wheel had in store for us. So I think we rattled off 15, 20 different movies that uh, had something to do with Christmas. You know, some of our favorites. I enjoy Elf and the Rudolph
I
the
love
Red-Nosed Reindeer for my
Christmas
kids.
Vacation is probably my
Christmas
favorite.
Vacation's a good one.
Home
Um,
Alone, blah blah
Home
blah.
Alone, yeah, Home Alone 2, things like that. So, um, why don't we find out what the wheel has in store for us, Josh?
Spin that wheel, spin that wheel.
Wheel. All right.
Hey,
Die
looks like we're
Hard,
heading.
the
Go ahead. Sorry,
quintessential Christmas movie. So here's the first
dude.
question I'm gonna ask you before we get go off and watch this. Do you think this is a Christmas movie?
I used to not until about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, whenever there was a lot of supporting evidence. And I kind of just let myself allow myself to think
Yeah,
that it's a Christmas movie, you
I
know.
feel you. I'm kind of the same way. I didn't think it was a Christmas movie, and the last few years, I'm like, you know what? Life's
We
short. Let's
never
just have, let
watched
it
it.
have its day.
Like we
So,
never watched it as a Christmas movie growing up. It seemed like it was just one of those movies like that maybe on like a Friday or Saturday night if after my mom went to bed and my dad was like, "Hey, you want to watch Die Hard?" It was either like Die Hard or I kind of put that in there with the category of like a Full Metal Jacket or a Rambo,
yep.
just like a good action movie, just kind
Yeah.
of like a good dude movie. But
Well, why don't we go
on Christmas,
revisit it and come back and we'll talk about it.
sounds good.
Yo, it's Josh and T-Cat. Best believe that. Reeling in the truth. Stacking on the film stack. Popcorn popping. Critics keep talking. On this podcast, ain't no time for stalking. Real fine by me, we keeping it free. Josh and T-Cat, the hosts you wanna see. Movie reviews, jokes that ain't new. Keep it locked in, cause we know what to do. Lights, camera, action, movie main attraction. Critics we ain't, but we got that passion. Breaking down the scenes, funny like memes. Josh and T-Cat, man, living the dream.
All right. Well, uh, that is, probably the thousandth time I've seen that movie, but I'll be honest with you, I probably haven't watched it in the last couple of years. So it was a good refresher. Um, so
I like how we got four of them after this one. After this one come out, it's like, hey, let's
all right.
make four more Die Hard movies.
I'm all right. Three is my favorite.
With
The
a
one with,
vengeance.
yeah, the one with Samuel L. Jackson, and
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
that's
good one,
probably my
man.
favorite.
It's a good one. Hans
So
Gruber.
the this movie was shot with a $28 million budget, and first week it grossed $601,000, which by today's standards isn't much, but back in 1988 when this movie was made, that's quite a bit. And it made over $85 million. So it was a huge success. That's why we uh we got four more after this, right?
I have different numbers than what you have.
Oh, really?
I saw where it had a budget between 35 and 45 million and that it grossed to 140 million.
Well, I got mine off of IMDb, but maybe I looked
I
at the
could,
wrong thing.
I got
So
mine off Wikipedia, so you never know. Also, it was the
more
10th highest grossing film of 1988.
yeah, I don't know what other movies were in 1988, but there
Do
must have
you
been some
know
good
what the
ones.
do you know what the number one movie was in 1988?
Um,
Can you guess? Just figure 1988, number one movie.
I have no
This
idea.
is
I
the
would have
year
been
I was
six.
born. Yeah,
I would have
this
been
is the year I was
six.
born.
So
Rain
yeah,
Man was number
Rain
one.
Man. That's a
Rain
good one
Man.
too.
Right. Dustin
So
Hoffman, Tom Cruise.
yeah. So we start this movie off on an airplane, and we find out Bruce Willis's character John McClane's headed to California, which you can tell he loathes, right?
Out California way.
Yeah. And he's talking to this pretentious guy sitting next to him that tells him that when he gets to wherever he's going, take his shoes off and curl his toes up, and that's the best way to ride a plane. A couple things that stick out to me in this very first scene is one, that's a weird thing to do.
That's a
Get to
weird
the
thing to
house.
tell somebody to do too.
Yeah,
Could you imagine looking over some dude and he's like, "Hey, the first thing you
yeah.
need to do is take your shoes off and your socks and roll your toes." Now, I did try that on my carpet by the bed. I had to try it after watching this movie, and it is kind of nice. I only got five toes, so those
Right.
five toes loved it for just a second, but then it was like, it's a little weird to just be doing it on an airplane.
Also, I think I've been traveling this week, so I spent quite a bit of time on a plane in the last 5 days. There's a lot of room on a plane back in 1988. There ain't a lot of room on a plane no more. They
It's like
cram
he
you in
was in
there
a
like
living
sardines.
room. It's like he
Yeah.
was in a living room on that airplane.
Also,
Big
no,
chairs.
no way, no how could you get a gun onto a plane like that ever. He had it just
No,
tucked in there in 1988. Maybe I don't know. I wasn't going on
dude,
to
I
planes
don't
back
know,
then,
man.
but uh, he just had it holstered there on him, just
They used to
chilling.
smoke cigarettes on airplanes.
Yep, there was smoking section, non-section.
That's pretty sick, dude. I think we should bring the smoking sections back.
So we see John take off. He's going to see his what we assume is his wife. We find out later that they're uh, in the midst of probably getting divorced, but he's going to visit her and go to her company Christmas party. So he when once he gets out of the airport, we meet probably one of my favorite characters, uh, the limo driver, because he all
Yes.
this stuff's going on around him. He does not care whatsoever.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
chilling, man. He's like, I'll hook you up, whatever you need.
but he's a pivotal part of the finale of this deal
He
by
is.
the end. So
He's one of those sneaky characters I like to
yeah.
call him.
So we get we get to her place of work, Nakatomi Tower. She's a big financier. Finds out that it is that she's a bigwig in this finance company. So, do you have anything on Nakatomi Tower you want to add?
It was the Fox Plaza when
Yeah,
they filmed this movie, and they spent pretty much the whole time of this movie filming. Like that's
yeah,
what their budget was for, was inside of this building. Now it's called 2121 Avenue of the Stars, and it is in Los Angeles, California. I'm not sure what year it was built, but it wasn't very old whenever this movie came
right.
out, from what I can
Yeah,
tell.
I wrote that here that Nakatomi Tower was 21st Century Fox's headquarters studio. They used it because they
Right.
wouldn't have to worry about holding back on what stunts they wanted to do because they owned the
Mhm.
building.
And this movie, fun fact, I didn't know if you saw this, but Bruce Willis wasn't the first person that they offered this role to.
Yeah, there was a bunch of people. I
Yeah, because
had a list.
Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone are the two that I kept seeing over and over.
Yeah, I
And
also
Bruce
seen
Willis,
Al
go ahead.
Pacino,
Yeah.
Charles Bronson, and then I read a fact that
Charles Bronson, how old
Yeah,
was he in 1988?
but listen to this one. This one's even better. Frank Sinatra was contractually obligated to be offered the role as John McClane in this movie, and he would have been 71 at the time. And the reason
Wow.
being is that he did a movie called The Detective, which was the author of the book this is wrote off of,
Right. This is a
another
book.
book of his. So he did The Detective, and in his contract, any other movies made by out of the books of that author, he had to be uh, asked if he wanted the leading role.
That's
So he was
wild.
offered at 71 years old to play this. I also seen Richard Gere, but
Yeah.
they paid Bruce Willis was known for his
Television.
sitcom, comedic styles. I think today we kind of know him more as an action figure because of
But
this movie.
he was like more like a one man show is kind of what he was billed
Yeah,
at first. And he would sing like he had like a band, he would sing, play the harmonica, all sorts of stuff like that. I know his first time that he a little bit of Bruce Willis trivia, the
yeah.
first time that he hosted SNL, like for his monologue, he didn't do a monologue. He did the opening like song, like with the credits and played the harmonica and then the show
Oh,
started.
that's crazy.
Uh-huh.
So it
Yeah,
looks
like he's
like
pretty
he was paid $5 million for this movie, which in today's time that would have been $13 million, which
yeah,
that's
big
quite a
time.
bit, really.
They
Um,
thought it was going to be a flop. They said it was
yeah,
probably one of the biggest mistakes that that production company could make was by offering him the job and $5 million salary. And
yeah,
look where he is at now. Like he blew
mhm.
up.
Yeah, for sure, especially from this movie in particular, right?
Yes. Hmm.
So, through the course of going in and seeing his wife, we find out that she's looking at getting divorced because he lived in New York. She moved out to California. She became successful, and I don't think he could deal with her success. Um, that's kind of what I read into it. He didn't think she'd succeed. He'd come back to New York. But we find out that there's a plot at hand to take over this tower, and we're really kind of trying to figure out through the course of the movie why they're doing it. We find out that they have a vault full of bonds that were worth $640 million. Today's money, that'd
Crazy
be,
money in 1988.
yeah, in today's money, that'd be $1.6 billion if you did the math.
Yeah. So
So,
tripled almost.
yeah. So, um, they, we kind of see them take over the party. The only people in there get through security. Bruce was in the bathroom doing the toe curling thing, trying to get
Right.
his anxiety down, so they didn't know he was even there.
Dude
Um,
loves smoking cigarettes the whole movie. I love that.
yep, yep.
He's all the time
You
trying to smoke a cigarette.
They don't do that in movies nowadays,
I
right? Like
know it's sick. You probably will
everybody
see
smoked in
somebody
movies.
hitting a vape every once in a while. I was watching a show the other day, and there's a woman, Rachel McAdams was playing a character, and she was hitting one of those like first generation like Juuls, and I
Oh
was
yeah.
like, golly, man.
Oh, I've not. I don't think I've ever noticed anybody doing that. So,
Yeah, it looks like an ink pen. She's like just sucking on a black ink pen.
I mean, I know we got a lot like as far as in-depth stuff to talk about in this movie. It's pretty mainstream. Him running around this tire, taking out the bad guys. It's kind of beat for beat what you would think an action movie would. We do meet our friend outside, Sergeant Allen Powell,
Carl Winslow.
Played by Reginald VelJohnson, most known for his dad role in Family Matters. Um,
Hell yeah.
so I think
America's
he,
Dad of the 80s, probably.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Neighbor to
And
Steve
90s.
Urkel. Yeah, neighbor
Yes.
to Steve Urkel. Reginald Bell Johnson. Uh,
Plays a good cop. Plays a real good cop.
yeah, he does. Can't drive, but he backs it off that ledge.
Right.
With
Yes.
his boss shows up, thinks he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's like, I know this guy I'm talking to on the inside's got to be a cop. All this stuff. The thing that most bothers me is that they are on a frequency on the CB radio that the bad guys and the good guys are both on. We see that they're talking to each other, right?
Which would never work.
Would never work. And the cops are telling him their plans. It's like, why would you put that out there? Like, we're going in the back door.
Yeah, why would you even say
Yeah,
like as soon
right.
as you found out like you were like in a the same radio frequency as the bad guys, you would communicate or you would cut off all communication with that
Yeah,
line. Like you would
for
figure out
sure.
some other way to communicate. Yeah, but
So,
hey, it's the 80s, baby. We're making action movies.
so, I don't want to fast forward through a whole lot of it, but the whole second act of this movie is just McClane going through the tower and taking out the bad guys and trying to figure
Floor
out
by
what's going on.
floor.
Floor by floor, he's crawling
Floor
up the
by floor.
elevator shaft, all doing it without any shoes or socks on. Like somebody
Yes.
get this man some socks.
Stepping on glass, dude. Every time he steps on glass, my one-legged hind
Yes.
end just winces every time he's
Oh.
like, oh man. It's like, and then he's just trying to smoke a cigarette. He just wants to smoke a cigarette. He's always just trying to get around a wall, lean against some ductwork, and smoke some cigarette. Also, another wild part of this movie is when that dude cuts through all those conduits
Oh yeah.
with the big saw. I'm like, dude, like, is there not a better way, a safer way to do that? Like that would have
They're
fried him
they're bad
probably.
they're bad guys. They don't care about safety, just speed.
Man.
Um, we find out the big bad guy is Hans Gruber, right?
Yes.
Um, Played by Alan Rickman. Do you think he's
Great
more known?
actor.
Do you think he's more known for this or for being Severus Snape in Harry Potter?
I would say Harry Potter, but I will say this. I'm sure this probably got him. I think that Alan Rickman really, without Alan Rickman, this movie doesn't work
Yeah, and I
because
read that he almost passed on it, and they had to kind of beg him to do this.
because he plays like that great villain that also helps carry on to all the sequels. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's like a recurring thing.
When he switches, when he switches from being to being like the American, trying to hide from being the bad guy, they have like this whole rep where they're talking to each
Hmm.
other, and he doesn't really know if it's him or not. That shows how great an actor he is. He just
Yeah,
automatically hits.
fantastic actor,
Yeah,
a thespian, some would say.
yeah,
Probably he's probably like a classically trained. I don't know much about him, but I just know him from Harry Potter and also from this movie. He's in a bunch of other stuff too.
yeah. So
But
this movie was off the book. Nothing lasts forever, which
written
apparently,
in 1979.
yeah, apparently Clint Eastwood owned the rights to make this movie in the 70s, and it just never got made. And when he released the rights, they had the writers rewrote the script, and it was greenlit one day after it was presented.
Yep. Written by Jeb Stewart and Stephen E. Salza,
Yeah, something like that.
and directed by John McTiernan.
So, kind of the climax of this film, and I know we got there pretty quick, but
Well,
they're up at the top of the roof, and we find out they're going to blow up the top of the roof. The whole deal was they were going to steal the money and cause all these problems and escape. They were going to blow it when the helicopters landed to take them away. They were going to blow it up and and the police were going to expect that they were going to be part of the carnage, and they were going to leave out undetected in an ambulance, right?
yeah, hell of a
So
plan.
what an explosion they do on the top of this building, which I don't know who put that together, but in '88 it wasn't like they did that with CGI.
No,
They
dude.
blew stuff up on the top of this building.
Yeah, there was some kind of blast mats put down, I'm sure, to
Yeah,
not tear the whole roof of the building up.
between that roof
Wild
explosion
stuff.
and the C4 explosion, that when McClane drops that C4 through the elevator chute and blows up the
Oh
whole bottom
yeah,
floor, those
yeah,
two explosions were huge.
they
But
really were.
um,
Back in the great days of pyrotechnics and
yeah,
movies, now it's just a computer, man. You don't really get that. I think you can tell a difference, even though one of
you
the
can
first
tell the
movies
difference.
that we did, the other guys, the blow up scene in that was very believable too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think they
So
actually used some real explosives on that one.
um, they do the explosion at the top of the building. McClane almost dies. He has to break open a window with his bare feet again. From the
Always the feet.
outside this time. Um, Hanging from a fire hose. How'd the fire hose explode? Survive the explosion? I don't understand. Uh,
If you ever need
but
to worry about surviving, don't buy a good rope, just buy some fire hose.
right. While they escape, but our buddy in the limousine sees them unloading the ambulance and crashes it, so they can't get away. Right. So we get to the end. Gruber has found his wife, finds out that she's down there, and he's still in love with her, and kind of understands that that is the way to get away.
He has some leverage.
Yeah. So they get in the big climactic fight, and they end up going out the window of this skyscraper, and he's hanging on by the watch, which foreshadowing from the beginning of the movie, she gets it as a present for being such a good employee.
Right.
He's hanging on to her hand, and you get that iconic scene of him releasing that watch and Hans Gruber falling away. Is that probably one of the most iconic scenes from any movie, action movie of the late '80s for sure? Uh,
And it's a sick watch too. I forget.
yeah, it was a
I'm
Rolex. I'm
gonna,
not a watch
yeah,
guy.
yeah, it is a Rolex. No, it is not a Rolex. It's Cartier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a Cartier. Let's see. I know this is just some of the lore. I'm a big watch guy, and it's a Cartier. I forget the name they call it, but they they made this watch. It's a 1936 style. It's a super small watch, but so it's like a super villain watch pretty much. The only time you ever see dudes wearing this watch are usually a bad guy. It's got a square rectangle head,
Oh, I
gold.
got you.
Yeah, it's not like your classic rich guy watch, but it's always just something odd. Anyway,
So,
I just thought that
so
was cool.
apparently during this movie, Bruce Willis ran off to Vegas to get married uh, to Demi Moore.
Hmm,
So,
that's cool.
yeah,
Demi Moore, strip tease.
Yeah. So, one thing I found funny, the Hungarian title version for this movie was "Give Your Life Expense."
To give your life a die or give your life expense. Yeah. Make it worth something, right?
Yeah. And then the sequel, Die Hard 2, was "Your Life is Even More Expensive."
Mhm. They
And
really are
and
so
three is
literal.
life and three is life is always expensive.
Yeah, it's true.
I thought those were pretty funny. Um, Reginald VelJohnson's character, Sergeant Allen, was almost played by Wesley Snipes. What a different character that would have been.
Oh man, it would have definitely been a lot more action, I think, right?
For sure, he probably would have been in the building.
He would have went right in. He wouldn't have been out there on the walkie-talkie. He would have just went in, pulled some knives out from behind his back with them dangly earrings like Nick wears.
Right? Yeah, that's definitely where Nick gets his earrings from, for sure.
Man,
So what are some? I know we flew through it because it's just an action movie. It's a
yeah, we
quintessential. What are some of the things that stuck out to you, Josh, as far as it
I
is our Christmas episode, so the him sending the first guy down that says, "Now I have a machine gun, ho ho ho," on it,
yes.
was pretty funny. There's lots of Christmas trees in the background, lots of Christmas songs in this movie. I noticed. Um,
There's Winter Wonderlands in this movie.
yeah,
Let It Snow. And that there's like several references to Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It
yeah,
Snow throughout the movie. What's some other ones? Oh, they play a lot of classical music that you would probably hear at the Christmas time, like a
yes,
lot of
yeah,
Johann Sebastian Bach strings. And really, this movie to me is like the prime of adding music into movies
yeah,
to kind of set the mood. Like now
yeah.
you don't really see that as much because like you would see like a whole scene kind of leading up to like maybe the volume of it getting louder or
Oh yeah,
it just I don't know. It's just they really use a lot of that to kind of set the tone of the plot of the movie sometimes and with the dialogue. You know what I
for
mean?
sure. So I read that speaking of the dialogue, that a lot of the stuff in this movie was improvised because there were so many rewrites. They were just like, all right, we're just going to do what we feel like is going to work. We kind of know where we're going and what we're doing. So there was a lot of improvisation and lines in there, which is where Yippee Ki came from. Uh,
That's probably what everybody notices, probably,
yeah.
or thinks of the most whenever they hit. Also, we skipped the song "Christmas in Hollis" by Run DMC was
Oh
in this
yes,
movie.
yeah. It's
That's a
a
Christmas classic.
yeah. That's the very during the opening credits, I believe.
Yeah,
So
classic.
right off the bat. So I think if you're grading a Christmas movie, it has to be set during Christmas. You got to have Christmas music.
It's a Christmas
Uh,
party,
there's a Christmas party,
right?
which I just came back from my company's Christmas party. Might have to blur this out.
Did
Uh,
y'all do some cool stuff like they did? Did y'all blow up a building?
we did not blow up a building.
Damn, dude.
We went to a play for White Christmas, which was fun, which was
Oh,
on our
that's
list
cool.
here, but we
Yeah, that's
didn't
cool.
get it.
Right? Yeah, that's true.
Um,
That is a good
But
movie.
our Christmas party wasn't like that. I mean, I didn't see it, but I don't think there was anybody snorting coke in the bathroom or anything like that, like at
No,
a
just
Christmas
right,
party.
dude. What kills me about that guy in the beginning of the movie is it's like he's like with his boss, right?
Right.
And he's like he has some blah blah blah. It's like the Japanese guy, Mr.
Yeah.
Nakatomi. He's like it's okay. He just has a problem or something. I'm like, well, come on, dude. This dude's
Yeah.
noticeably doing coke. He
Yeah.
said he likes to party hard or something. He likes to
Yeah.
play hard or some shit. Just kind of dust it off.
Christmas
And then
parties in
that's
the
when you
80s were
figure out John
wild, apparently.
McClane's like I'm a cop, right? Pretty much is what he told
Yeah.
him. He's like, chill.
And then he claims to be his friend later on, which cost him his life.
It did.
So,
That guy was a douchebag anyway.
yeah.
Everybody that has seen this movie or watched this movie knows who we're talking about. He's like
Yep.
they called him yuppies, I think, back
Yep.
then.
Back in the day.
Straight up.
So I do this every time. I pulled some reviews.
Let's hear
And
him.
I'll be honest with you, it was really hard to find a 1-star review for this deal, but I did.
Really?
Yeah. So let's start with a 5-star. Dan on Google said one of the greatest action as well as Christmas movies of all time, an iconic, legendary, standout, and amazing film. A film filled with so many iconic sayings like Yippee Ki Yay references about other films, actors, and much more to even mention it as well as say about the film. Yeah, I don't think this guy's very good at writing. Five
No, but
stars.
he loves it.
He loved it. Kim
Probably sounds like us giving these movie reviews.
Kim had another view altogether.
Let's hear
So
what Kim had to say. She's wrong, but let's hear it.
I have officially found the movie where it is a total snooze fest and nothing interesting happens. If you don't want to waste 2 hours of your life, watch anything else. Even Top Gun would be better. I'm
Yikes.
probably going to get a lot of hate from the true alpha dominant species, but who likes this movie? One
Uh,
star.
I bet we can probably all picture her in our head right now, what she looks like.
And then Ryan here also gave it a 1 star. Said this is not a Christmas movie, you stupid idiots. It's set in Christmas and has nothing to do with it. Ryan, get the joke, man. Everybody
Yeah,
knows
man.
it's a Christmas movie, and that's what's going on here.
I
So
think the faster you accept it and just have fun with it, then why would you not just want to just go along? I mean, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like you said, it meets all the criteria that I think it should. I don't know.
you
It's
got any
just
other tidbits about Die Hard that you want to share?
I don't. I think we covered about all the stuff that really stuck out to me. I know that I thought it was cool that it was a remake of a book, or it was, like a rewrite of a book. I didn't know that. I got to find this book and read it.
So the only other tidbit I had is that Bruce was only able to do this movie because his co-star in his sitcom, I forgot what it was called, The Honeymooners, maybe.
Yeah, I think
Um,
so. I think that's right.
Sybil Shepherd got pregnant and she was going to be out, and he was able to go do this movie because she wasn't able to do the other part of it. So
Another fun fact about this is it did really good, like we talked about. It made like $100 million, maybe more
yeah,
in theaters, but also it made almost $40 million between 1988 and 1997 just in movie rentals.
oh yeah,
So I mean,
I
that's
can
back
see
when
it.
home media was a big deal. Like
Oh yeah,
it's like
everybody wants to go
now it's
on
streaming. So
on Friday night. You'd go out to
oh, dude,
the
I miss it so
Blockbuster.
much. Well, that's why
Get
we
give
love movies, probably. Like you don't really see that
Oh
with
yeah,
these younger kids now. It's just too easy to get. Like we had to go on a quest,
I'll
and you
tell
had to
you
pick
what.
four or
You
five
got
different movies because the one you picked first wasn't going to be there probably.
more than likely,
Yeah.
or you get lucky and you're like, I really want to see Twisters, right? Or Twister, and you go there and all the copies are gone, and you're like, well, maybe I'll see if one got returned. You walk up to the counter and there's one
Oh,
sitting there somebody
absolutely.
brought back. Man, that was
Just brought back. They just brought it back 30 minutes ago.
30 minutes ago.
Or you call and have them hold it. We can hold it for an hour.
Yep,
That's all we
that's
can hold
it.
it for. Man, those were the days. Get you a pizza, maybe. Walk out, get you
So
a pizza.
here's where my love of movie came come from. When I was in high school, I worked at one of those places. That's what
Yeah,
I did.
hell
I
yeah.
worked at a movie store. I sit and watch movies the whole time and just rented them
That's
to
the
people.
best job there is.
So
There's no better job.
we had a little pizza
No better
machine, and
job.
I made pizzas for people and rented like a Hunt's Brother pizza is what we made. So
Hell yeah, dude.
uh,
That's pretty good pizza.
yeah, it was a good time. So all right, so we know what other people think of this movie. Um, what does Josh think? 0 to 5.
I'm gonna give it a 3.1, and I'm gonna tell you why.
That is
Strictly for
mostly
me,
fine by me.
mostly fine by me, and it's on merit, I think, because it holds up as an action
Yeah,
movie. It's even brought up as being the best action movie of all time. It's probably what a lot of movies are kind of inspired maybe by that we see now, like action movies,
yeah.
remakes, stuff like that. There's a funny movie made by the guys from Workaholic. It's called Game Over Man.
I
That
know.
is, I
Yep, I like that
think,
movie.
is pretty much Die Hard. It's just a
Yes.
funny version of it,
Yeah.
and I think it's just a good solid 3.1, kind of a baseline for any other action movie that you kind of want to put up against it. I think it hangs right in there.
Well, Josh, we're usually really close on our picks.
Yeah,
I'm a lot higher than you are.
a lot. Let's hear it. What is?
I'm going some people are going to call this a rookie score, a
We
4.0.
actually had one break. This is the first movie we've had break a
Yeah,
four.
yeah, and that's real fine by me. I don't think it's the best action movie ever made. Spoiler alert, I think that's The Dark Knight. Um,
Pretty good.
but I believe it's top tier. It really is. So
It's got
it
everything you
loads up.
want.
It's
It's
got
also a
everything
love
you want.
story.
Yeah, it's action from start to finish. It feels like there's not very many times where it slows down at all. It can be it's funny at times. It's full of explosions and gunshots and car crashes. Everything you want out of a good old
It's got
action.
familiar faces like Carl
Yeah,
Winslow's
yeah.
character.
Everything you
All
want
that good
out of
stuff.
a action popcorn movie,
It
summer blockbuster, whatever the
it
case
has
may be.
comedic relief when needed.
For sure.
It's not nothing. Even when people die, you don't really feel bad for them. It's like
So
you know, you you're
that's why all those things are why I gave it a 4 for sure.
hell yeah, man. That's nice. That's a good score. But yeah, I just couldn't go. I even thought about going like a 3.5. Like, is that being
Yeah.
the baseline? But I was like, well, because we go, 1 to 5. So I was like, 3.1 is probably where I'm at.
When Wes hears this episode, he's going to tell me I have a rookie score because it's an even number.
Uh,
So
Right. You did hear that on the podcast. He was
I
talking
did.
about us, how we did the breakdown. He was proud of us. I said,
I
well,
did.
we sure was worried about what you thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was completely worried what Wes thought about our ranking system. So,
Oh man. Well, that's
and
all I
we're
got, brother.
yeah, we got a few minutes here. Just we do plan on having other guests on here. We're gonna bring some of the other Fine by Me boys on here. They've got particular movies they want to be part of when their
Right.
wheel hits. So
We may have to help the odds a little bit for maybe on
yeah,
one
for
of or
sure.
two of them.
For sure. Um, Again, hit us up on the comics section if you want us to add one of the movies you want us to
And
watch.
let us know if you
Okay.
think Die Hard is a Christmas movie. We
Yeah,
want
that
to hear
would
what you have to
definitely be.
think.
I can tell you my wife says no, it's
Yeah,
not.
Christy says no too. She says it's not, but she don't like the movie anyway, so who cares what she thinks, you
That's
know?
right. When I told my wife we were doing a Christmas special, and she said, "What are you gonna do? Die Hard?" And I said, "Well,
As a matter
we
of
have a
fact.
random wheel generator. It picks us for us. But yes, that's what we're doing.
That's what it picked.
That
And
is
well,
what
you
it
can
picked."
see it almost landed on Nightmare Before Christmas, and I was
Yeah,
going to be bummed, dude. I hate that movie. I
I
don't
do
like that
too.
movie. I
I
don't
do
like it at
too.
all. But it is a Christmas movie. But
Yeah.
I was like, it was spin. I was like, no. And then they got to Die Hard. I was like, woo. It was so close, man. It was so close.
So, from the Real Fine by Me guys, T Cat and Josh, want to
Merry
wish
Christmas.
everybody Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays. Hit
Happy
that
holidays.
Patreon too, and hope you enjoy and stay safe. And we'll see you after the new year.
Thanks, guys.